Gonzaga basketball fans, welcome back to the House of Kraus. I'm Tuck Clarry. I write the House of Kraus Substack and run the House of Kraus Discord alongside co-host Austin King. I write for Basket Under Review as well. And Austin and I, we are recording once again. There is a podcast episode in the ether. It exists. It's on my hard drive. I was going to keep my promise that we were doing an episode once a week, but
we technically did the episode.
We did the episode, but that episode did not see the light of day. It was going to be posted Saturday morning, and as I'm uploading the video, I'm checking my phone and piecing things together, and I still don't. I still haven't accepted that, it doesn't feel weight to it yet. But Mario Saint-Supery is no longer a Zag. He decided to.
Was he ever a Zag? Is really the question.
This is, for subscribers, you were able to listen to the Jack Kyle response episode, and I'm kind of concerned that this may go down that path. It's going to have more teeth to it. Yeah. So Mario posts 1 a.m. Pacific time. An image on Instagram of him in the kennel, thanking Gonzaga Nation or what have you. 1 sentence. That's it. And then proceeds to immediately also post his announcement that he accepted a deal to go back to Spain and play for Valencia in the ACB. And Mario does a 1-sentence post. His dad does a tweet thread of his thank you to Spokane, talking about how he his family can't wait to come back and all of this. And it's jarring in so many ways. It's jarring. Okay, it's jarring that they think that everybody just gets it.
Back.
Everybody just understands. This is just the game, and maybe we could talk about maybe this is the game now to some extent, but it's also jarring because I floated the idea in my head that maybe Mario second guesses due to what his experience was and everything, and he goes back. But I never that quickly was erased towards the end of the year. It was quickly erased as soon as he was back on campus practicing in the summer. It was certainly off my radar when he was doing a press junket leading up to the FIBA qualifiers, which was the heart of the episode that we recorded last Friday, was talking about Mario's performance in the FIBA competition as well as Izan Almance's performance in the FIBA competition. But during the lead up to those games, Mario talked to several Spanish publications and was talking about, really playing up the whole I'm carving my own path sort of play for his career. And from what our sources are saying, from what national media are saying, Mario and his camp made this decision within 48 hours of his announcement. And he told the staff the night before his 1 a.m. post. He didn't unless he messaged teammates individually, as far as I know, he didn't reach out to any teammates about this or send an update or anything. So it was a complete blindside. Complete.
Oh, 100%. This was not expected in any way, shape, or form.
And
what do you think was the more rash decision? Him cutting his own hair and dyeing it, or him bailing on Gonzaga in the middle of the night?
I think this is habits reforming.
Oh.
And you can't break habits easily without concerted efforts to do so. When Armand jumped on, we we were recording this on Monday. We had a session talking about some players that we've heard the camp is interested in. We talked about Mario for a little bit, and Armand was back on with us, and he kind of talked about hey, throughout his entire professional career, he's moved on to another team far too soon, and hasn't really taken on adversity and has made the play of new setting, new surrounding that will fix whatever.
Is he Spanish AJ Storr?
Oh my god. But needless to say, I talked about this a little bit in that voice chat, but it is devastating. I think I may have been more excited for Mario than any Gonzaga player in the 2020s. I was excited for Jalen Suggs and Chet Holmgren, but I love golden era Spanish basketball so much, and this was a beautiful tie to the Spain offense coming back to Spokane. The idea that Gonzaga is going back to the roots of smart court vision, eccentric, beautiful, fluid offense. That it was this beautiful synthesis of Gonzaga now has the pedigree to get these star players, similar to the domestic star players they got in Jalen Suggs, Chet Holmgren, but star players overseas, and bringing back the idea of yes, Gonzaga can recruit overseas, and they have this guy that is going to be similar to Rui, where Rui became the face of Japan basketball. You found the kid that is going to be the one of the faces of Spain's attempt to get back on the podium in the Summer Olympics. You had all this fanfare, all these ideas, and then things got rough his freshman season. Things don't go the way that anyone hoped they would go. Some of it was his fault. Some of it was the roster's fault. Some of it was players not living up to what the staff was expecting from them, so he couldn't really create offense for others if others couldn't make shots. But ultimately, we're going from a scenario of trials freshman season, the star point guard, potentially the best player on the team, potentially one of the three best players on the team, potentially works himself into the lotto for a team that goes back to the Final Four for the first time since 2021. We go from the Little Prince, the way that I know that HOK has kind of protected Mario throughout last season during the quote unquote point guard wars, where a lot of Gonzaga's fan base was getting frustrated because they've been used to Nembhard style offenses, Nembhard point guards that are just dynamically tuned in facilitators who play within Gonzaga's offense, don't go over their skis, don't do anything too flashy. To why isn't this Spanish kid making it so Adam Miller can make threes, and why are his assist numbers so low? Braden Smith has higher assist totals. Braden Smith has a lower turnover percentage. Look at the per 40. Braden Smith's numbers are better. Going through this whole process of okay, but the eye test, and you see the flashes, you defend the flashes, you think the flashes are going to develop into a potential top 10 point guard in the country. I could go on and on. But this decision has turned into he's going to be remembered for an Eminem haircut and an Instagram post at 1 a.m, and that's it. Nobody's going, people are going to be annoyed remembering this guy. And we can talk about whether that's fair or unfair we don't know the full story of why the deal was so lucrative. We don't know the full story for why he took the deal. But at the end of the day, he took the deal in the middle of the night, told everybody last second, and he is going from the potential player to guy who fled his team at the last minute because of adversity and because of taking the comfortable path.
He will now be instead of being in sentences with Andrew Nembhard and Nigel Williams-Goss and Kevin Pangos, he will be in sentences with Brock Rebet. And that's pretty fucking tough.
It's tough. It's so tough.
Pretty fucking tough,
dude. bro.
And it's all of his own making.
And by the way, in sentences similar to Brock Reve, because that's probably as much as Gonzaga fans will talk about Mario within like 3 years. They're gonna forget him. Like, that's the thing. Is like it was one season and it wasn't even that fun of a season. And
I mean, you can make a legitimate argument that of basically in the 21st century, last year, which Mario is the face of, you got the worst or the second worst point guard play in the history of Gonzaga's program of the 21st century. And he was the face of that guard play. Maybe you make the argument for Nolan Hickman's sophomore year. Maybe there's some early 21st century teams, Tuck, you would know much better than me. But like, the point guard play in the backcourt was what let the team down at the end of the day last year, and was always the thing lacking. Always.
Mm-hmm. And like, okay, so we talked about the joke of like hate watching Jack in the G League, and then it's like, oh, he's not even gonna be in the G League. Probably he's gonna stay at Alba.
Correct. He's gonna be back at Alba.
But like, people are like, I can't wait to. The knee jerk reaction, and understandable knee jerk reaction, was going through the all right, you now have a hater in me, and I'm gonna hate watch Mario. Look, if you have the ability to hate watch Mario, more power to you. But I guarantee you, 90% of the people that even had that thought cross their mind won't hate watch Mario because they're not gonna watch Mario. They're gonna forget that Mario exists. They're gonna remember Mario exists during World Cup Olympic qualifiers. That's when they're gonna remember Mario exists.
Maybe they'll watch a Eurobasket. Maybe, I mean, I'm sure that he'll be on the Olympic team.
He'll be on the Olympic team. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, will he play for Valencia is the question. So will he play for the Spanish team?
Yeah, that's the thing that we have not talked about is like, he took this deal. You know, there's a lot of different numbers that have been thrown out. Matt Norlander says 4 years, 15. Generally speaking, he's a pretty like buttoned up reporter that doesn't just throw shit out there. He's also not an international guy, so I bet that's coming from Gonzaga's camp. Maybe that's true. Maybe it isn't. We've seen some Spanish people kind of push back on those numbers. But who knows? 4 years is pretty unprecedented. It's not like a normal Euro contract.
4 years, 15 million is
crazy, because if you look at that roster, he's a backup point guard that will get 15 minutes a game, and from all accounts will likely be hidden mostly in EuroLeague games. And most of his games that he actually plays will be in the ACB, and that's where he's going to get his run, not in EuroLeague.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's like all of this for what? And like, if this is life-changing money, sure. Okay. But like, if it's life-changing money, how do you not come forward with like, this is something you're weighing sooner? How is this like this knee jerk of a reaction? Like, there's no way that Valencia gave him the ultimatum of like, we need this within 24 hours. And even if they did, you can't like theoretically have like a real like come to Jesus moment with
the staff.
With the staff. I'm not speaking out of pocket. Again, multiple national writers have like brought up the fact that Gonzaga was blindsided by this. But like, you feel terrible for Izan Almanza, who, as we brought up in the recording of the episode that doesn't exist, that I tweeted about on the day that Domantas Sabonis debuted his training facilities and his large donation to the program. Mario was there already back, and he brought back with him Izan Almanza, who is not officially a part of the team, has not cleared NCAA waiver protocols yet, but is clearly locked into becoming a Zag when he's eligible to be a Zag. And it's like, okay, you played with this guy. I'm sure that you're part of the reason that he's here. alongside Jorge Sanz. Jorge, by the way, isn't in Spokane right now. He's in Slovenia for the U20 games going on. So, also, you did this without really having one of the lead guys that's the reason you're there around you. Izan Almanza, probably still a Zag. I don't know. If this changes the calculus for that, probably to some degree, is a possibility.
It doesn't help.
It doesn't help.
It doesn't
doesn't help.
I'm not dooming on Izan being gone.
Yeah, and I don't pretend that.
I know that it's not what you're doing, but like, it doesn't help. You know, it just doesn't.
It's definitely not what Izan wants.
It's definitely not better.
Yeah, it doesn't make Izan more excited. I'm sure Masamba Diop, who also had Mario help recruit him to Gonzaga. I'm sure Masamba Diop isn't very stoked about this. There's just multiple players that you completely alter what their season looks like, and considering that you made a futures decision and a life decision, you altered the path in lives of your teammates by making this choice this quickly. And if it is 4 years, $15 million, then okay, that's life-changing money, and this is like very difficult to like suss out and sort out. But if it's what the Spanish reporters are reporting and is closer to 1 to 2, that's not out of the ballpark from what I imagine Mario's NIL options in Gonzaga's campus and program. What that is, so it's you chose the easier path. You chose the path, like you're acting as if that last season didn't exist, and that you can just get a mulligan and it'll be wiped from your record when NBA scouts look at you. That they're just going to look at you the same way they looked at De La Rey. That's not how that works. Oh. Or Hugo. No. We saw what physicality does to you. And ultimately, like, the most brutal part is, like, you proved the haters right. Like, I mean, like, how can I argue now that he was clearly the better fit? It's not like I'm shaking ass for Braden Smith. Like, don't get me wrong. It's not like I'm this complicates the calculus of what Gonzaga should and should not have done this offseason. But like, this is just like still something that I'm processing through, and it's something that kills the fandom aspect of this to me a little bit. Like, I'm always going to love basketball, and I'm always going to love college basketball. So, like, I'm still obviously going to cover it. But, like, this is just a disgusting angle to, like, what this whole thing has become. And until, there's a complete remapping and structure system that the NCAA puts into place, or whatever governing body is the end result of what NIL and the combination of amateurism and professional sports becomes, until there's buyouts or multi-year contracts becoming a standard, like, this is just going to become the thing. And we're going to talk more about this, about like a player that we know that Gonzaga is poking around on, but this has kind of turned into now a battle where you're going to see Spanish league teams try to fight back and keep their own. Like, this was clearly Spain saying, not again. Like, we're not letting this happen anymore.
To the fandom aspect, like, I feel like I've felt this 3 times in my fandom of, like, not just Gonzaga, but overall. First one, Brandon Roy having to retire after knee surgeries.
Tough.
That fucking gutted me. Gutted me. Made me sick. But that wasn't betrayal. That was just like, fuck. I don't get to see this magical player play for my team anymore.
That was the betrayal of the body.
Yeah, just brutal. The second one is the Pac-12 implosion. That fucking just gutted me. Like, sickening shit. And then this, honestly, as a Gonzaga fan, like, it's one thing to miss out on a guy. You know, it's like, fuck, missing out on Anthony Black really annoyed the shit out of me. That shit
Isaiah Harwell not picking Gonzaga the first time.
Yeah. Isaiah Harwell not picking GU hurt for sure, because it was just like, you know, a little bit of a dip in the program. Like,
the regional aspect to it.
The regional aspect. Hey, this is a kid that like has been going to GU camp since he was like 6 years old. You know, like it's just like, and then what 5-star is going to come from this region, and then not getting them. It just was like, fuck. How do you not land that kid? Mm-hmm. But this one, like, this was a player that you and I were really bought in on and excited about, and like saw the future of what it was going to look like at GU. And last year was obviously a setback in those expectations, but I think, you know, seeing him transform his body, seeing him like perform the way that he did in World Cup qualifiers, like I think we were kind of getting back to that spot where it's like, oh yeah, no, I see the vision again after being like, were we right? Were we wrong?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not so sure. Like, maybe he's not as good as we were thinking. You know, maybe we got tricked by these Euro hoopers once again. But to have this happen at this time and to like makes it so much harder to replace him. And that I think is the most frustrating thing. If this would have happened during the portal, right? If Mario just entered the transfer portal, that would have sucked and I would have been mad. But let's be honest. From what his production was last year and what we would expect his production to be this year, he's very replaceable.
I mean, let's be honest. There was a period in time when we were still doing the calculus of whether the staff was still interested in redacted. Mm-hmm. And the conversation was, well, the staff feels good about Jack and Mario, and they feel good about, you know, where the off-guard positions are, so they don't really want to
So
move
let's
those
spend
guys
money
off
on
ball.
a setter. We don't want to spend that kind of money on a guard because we trust the guards that we have.
And we need to get a center. And that makes total sense. And I don't think they're wrong still. And, like, I don't think there's any way you could conceive of how bad of an offseason in personnel this offseason has been. That's besides 100%. The point. But during that time period where the question was, should Gonzaga go after Jackson Shellstad? Because they already have Mario. They have Jack committed. In the context of Mario and Jack, you know, you and I were like, well, Jackson isn't a pure point guard. And also, is it the worst if you move Mario off ball? Like,
or you bring Jack off the bench. You know?
When Nathan D'Souza was added to the options, and we're still waiting to figure out what their shooting guard answer is. The idea was like, okay, well, yeah, you can. I think maybe the best option, better than Mario and Jack, is D'Souza and Mario, and you give the point guard duties to Nathan. Mm-hmm. So, like, even in all of these contexts, there was an added admission that, hey, we don't know if this is going to work. We don't know if this is ever going to be the thing that we thought it was going to be. We see the flashes. We see the potential. We saw this at times in FIBA qualifiers, but we haven't seen it. We haven't seen it in Division I college basketball with Mario. And if Mario, like you said, does this in April, does this in May, it changes things. And look, there were plenty of guards that did what Mario did last season or better, and have a better track record than Mario at shooting. Like, it's just like this decision is ultimately something that is going to like hang with scouts. Is like, this is what this kid did when there was adversity and when there was, you know, an easier option.
100%. And, we talked about this. We've done like hours and hours of conversation on this topic. Like literally the day of, we probably were in our chat and on Discord.
It was around 4 to 6 hours.
Yeah. And then, we did one today for 2.
Yeah.
So we've been talking about this for like 8 or 9 hours.
Subscribe to the Discord,
least.
houseofcrowds.substack.com.
Yeah.
You're not, you like, it's,
You're getting a lot more content. If you assume that we just do like one podcast every once in a while, it's like
then poke our heads in.
Yeah.
We're posting too much. We're posting enough that our significant others are
we're doing a lot for like subscribers. Like
you
I was cutting up clips at 10 o'clock at night last night.
Austin was cutting up clips at 10 o'clock at night and posted I want to say around 20 clips of a player that 95% of the Discord hadn't heard of, and then boom, today we look at it, it's like, oh, this kid is a real deal option.
Yeah.
But like this is not me. This is not me tooting my own horn or HOK's own horn. But if you've been subscribed to House of Kraus, everything that has broke and then has been confirmed by multiple sources, Austin or Josh has mentioned it in the Discord before any other place. And I'm like, not trying to exaggerate at all. And like, if you think that we're just vague posting on Twitter and just our dumb gifts have nothing to do with what the thing is, or what we post, there isn't like a level of a breadcrumb, then you're just missing the plot and you're not even using hindsight in any capacity. HouseofCrowds.substack.com. You can subscribe monthly or yearly, and genuinely you are getting so much content, and then there is going to be so much like written content for you closer to the season. I'm really excited about what I have planned for that. But anyways,
yeah. Also, we literally have been streaming every single U20 France game.
Yeah,
so people can watch that if they want to, and not have to pay FIBA for that.
Every U20 France game, we streamed both of Spain's FIBA qualifier games. There's constant engagement in content coming every single day. Honestly, I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's an interesting state of affairs currently in the landscape, and
I'm not going to say anymore.
Yeah, I'm not going to go any. We don't need to go any further, but that's all I'm going to say on that.
Yeah,
and
I think we've edged the people enough, Tuck.
Yeah. We don't want to put our foot in our mouths. So basically, with all of that. I feel like we've talked about Mario. Let's move on and quit holding on to the betrayal and those feelings, because, if it is life-changing money, it's life-changing money with the added context of like how it implicates everybody else. But how is the staff going to replace their starting point guard, a point guard that was part of a quadrant of players that Matthew Winnick, Basket and Review, said was the best collection of talent of 4 players on any roster in Division I basketball. There was plenty. I'm aware of plenty of national folks that were ready as soon as they got their next Euro and found some shooting, because that is possible still. As soon as they added 1 or 2 more pieces on top of what the roster was a week ago, they're ready to say this was easily a top 3, top 5 team in the country. If Masamba Diop develops into the player he's capable of being in a one offseason and learns the context of winning basketball, this could turn into a team that is pretty unparalleled by 95, is in the 99th percentile of the country. All of this. And how do you replace the starting point guard The only confirmed point guard on this roster, as Nathan D'Souza is still waiting for a waiver approval. How do you replace your best shooter, your starting point guard, a guy that was going to play 30 minutes a game, was going to have the ball in his hands more than anyone else was going to have the ball in his hands? How do you replace that in July? Where do you go?
Well, I've only got so many options. One of your avenues is just random guys in the transfer portal that are still there, which is slim fucking pickings. That's really a bad option. Your other option is going back to Europe and trying to find somebody. Either an older guy or maybe one of the young kind of like European stars that, very similar to the mold in which you got Mario last year. The other option is a 5-for-5 guy. We have now seen an injunction be given to players that filed a lawsuit in Ohio. Today, you have had lawsuits filed in Georgia as well as in Colorado for players. And the expectation, I'm not know how much we can share. I'll just say there is growing belief that there will be a bunch of guys coming into the market that are eligible for the 5-and-5 eligibility that are on E10 contracts right now in the NBA that are playing in Summer League. But probably if 5-and-5 had existed and were granted for those players that had just finished up college basketball this last season, would have stayed in college. I'll throw out a name like a Milos Uzan, right? Not really an NBA player. He'd make really good money in college. Probably stay in a fifth year, right? Like that type of player. Like, will we see those guys all of a sudden have eligibility, and will Gonzaga be able to pursue that player? I think there's growing belief that that is more and more likely, and that most of those players on E10s, because they can make more money, will go the college route. Because why the fuck would you rather play in the G League for unguaranteed contracts and no money when you can go and make $2 million a year at Gonzaga, or $1 million in college somewhere or more, right? Gonzaga is lucky enough at this point, to be in a position where they have quite a bit of money to spend. Now that things have been freed up due to Mario and Jack.
Two roster spots have been open, and approximately 55, 60 minutes of basketball usage is now freely available.
Yep. So now you have a roster which, as a lot of folks, and I think we felt, similarly, you walk into the best guard situation in the country. I don't think there's really a question about that. Maybe if Aberdeen doesn't get his eligibility, maybe you could say Florida. But I don't know how much money Florida has left, to be honest, because they spent so much money on their front court. I have no idea. I have no idea how much they have left. But you probably have the best opportunity in the country, and all of a sudden that position becomes much more interesting. The other one I'll mention quickly is reclassification. You can go and reclass a 27 kid, bring them into this class. Maybe you get a kid that you wouldn't have been able to get in the 27 class that all of a sudden now you can get. I think there's only a few that actually fit that profile, which you would actually hand the keys to. Only one of which Gonzaga is really actively recruiting, which is Jalen Davis. Is he good enough to be starting the starting point guard?
Would there be a situation where they say, Jalen Davis, you can be the starting point guard, and then, about 10 games in, they say, okay, well, you're going to start, but you're going to play 15 minutes, and just Sousa's going to be on ball most of the time.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. It seems like, he's a kid. I'm not going to pretend like I know his family super well. I don't know them personally. I know people that know the family. Seems like they have really prioritized him, kind of getting to stay a kid. His dad runs the recruitment. I believe the dad was a D1 player back in the day. Pretty sure he's from California. Another program that's kind of after him hard. You've got 2 California schools in Stanford and UCLA. I do know that UCLA at the moment has the most substantial NIL offer out to him. But, who knows? They obviously just spent a lot of money in NIL on Costa Rica. We'll kind of see. He's a kid that fits the profile, but is like the worst of the group, I would say. Mm-hmm. The other options that I think would make sense, and I'm not saying this is going to happen.
I'm so excited for you.
I'm not saying this is going to happen at all, but just like there's only a couple players where you could say, hey, reclass and come be a starting guard at Gonzaga on like a top 5 roster, and hey, we're going to compete, right?
And we're going to give you $2 million or whatever.
Yeah, right. Like you're not doing that for like some kid that's like 50th recruit in the country. You're just not doing that. Like,
right.
Before I say the names, like it's like I love Dooney. I'm high on.
Oh yeah, let's do this real quick. Let's get this real quick.
Not a point guard. Like, he plays on ball at his high school out in the middle of nowhere, right? Or I shouldn't say middle of nowhere. It's Milwaukee, but it's a...
Yeah, Mike is going to
You're not talking... Yeah, I'm sorry, Milwaukee. You're not a small town. But, like, you're not playing high-level competition. He's not even at the... He's, 3A, which isn't even the top.
Yeah.
Like, you're playing for a small school for his dad. That's great. He plays for Team Hero, which is one of the best teams in EYBL. And I'm still very high on Dooney. And he plays on ball for them, but they don't have a real point guard.
Right.
And when you watch those games, which we've streamed them in our Discord so that people can watch, he is not a point guard decision maker. He is a on-ball 2 guard that is built to score. He is not running an offense. And frankly, at the EYBL level, he has been pretty inefficient. Mm-hmm. And that's no knock on him.
That's like part of
as far as the
long-term
projection, but like asking a 17-year-old to come in and captain the offense for a top 5 team in the country, he's not there. And that's okay. He's a 2 to 3 year player at Gonzaga. He has unbelievable potential. But you cannot ask that kid to leave his dad coaching him for his senior year and getting a chance to win another state title, go back to back, and like be there with his family and do that, which clearly is meaningful to him. If it wasn't, he would go to prep school, right? But he decided to not do that. And, by the way, reclassing guards very rarely works. Reclassing anybody rarely works.
Reclassing barely works. You need to be so physically ready. You need to be so physically ready, and you have to have, like, the most, like, straightforward, like, role. Like, you have to
Who's the best reclass guard that you can think of over the last couple years? Like,
I can't even think of a good
Jeremiah
one.
Jeremiah Fears was a reclass, I think, right?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. Maybe Jeremiah Fears. But, like, you also saw he was, like, unbelievable for, like, the first, like, 12 games of the season and then just, like, faded hard. Again, it very rarely works. But
I mean,
the two,
Austin, didn't we like? There's Jeremiah Fears is like the only guard that you could say like had any modicum of success as a reclass. Like that's the death nail is reclassing guards. And like you mentioned, there are only certain players, and the reason for that of like even considering it is like, okay, you take a guy, if he's ready, he can just be one and done and like start the process sooner or what have you if his age makes him eligible to do so. But the other option is like, okay, you develop him, give him a small role or like a very narrow role, really railroad what is development and like roll on the team is year one, and then you hit the ground running year two. No player right now that is a reclass qualifying player for what you're looking for is going to take number two, and you're not doing this for number two. And Dooney, this is not an indictment on Dooney Johnson or suggesting that I don't think that he's going to work out as a basketball player. This is me hoping that this preserves the opportunity for him to do so. Because there is also plenty of ways that reclassing and stunting your development is a possibility. And you, like, really learning bad lessons from how your role is imparted to you or how you make the game work or catch up to the speed change and skill level difference of where you're at. All this stuff. And like people have been kind of coming after me about how you know this better than his family. I'm not claiming to know this better than his family. And it seems like his family knows this. Like,
by the way, he came out and said he wasn't reclassing or considering it like less than a week ago. And so it's not, it wouldn't be in his best interest because he stated that.
He stated that. He also has, a very level-headed group of figures in his circle that are like very keen on making this the best path for him so he can be the player that he has the potential to be. This is also why he chose Gonzaga over other schools. Like, he didn't pick Gonzaga because it'd be the flashiest, easiest path. It was also like they would develop him, and they know, and they make the pitch. We've talked about how Gonzaga pitches recruits and transfer targets all the time throughout this podcast, and it's very clear that the staff is honest and the staff is deliberate in how they're going to bring players along. And there's no way that a staff that has talked to the truth of where Dooney is versus where he needs to be the player he wants to become, that they would turn tail and immediately be like, hey, we actually need you now, brother. Like, there's just no way. And like, the people that are suggesting that this would be a good option, like, I don't know if it's like you're just enjoy the flashiness of like Dooney physically is imposing. I'm not going to argue that, but like the connecting pieces, he still has to develop. There's a lot of handle stuff. There's a lot of running and offense stuff, and like, yes. As you mentioned, Team Hero, great EYBL team. It's EYBL. They're not running shit in EYBL. It's like reclassing, first of all, would be the last option, or maybe not the last option because of how bad like the remaining no waiver needed eligible players are. Maybe that's not the last option. Maybe that is. But like, reclassing is not a priority over finding either a current Euro pro or holding out and being patient on an E10 guy or a 5-and-5 guy, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So, with that being said,
the two names that I think could potentially fit, but I would not expect at all happening. So just making that very clear. But the only two players that I think kind of fit that profile are Beckham Black, brother of Anthony Black, and Caden Daughtry. Those are really the only two guys that can kind of step in, and probably more Beckham, just because I think he fits more of that role. But even then, like, yeah, he's top 3 player in the class and he's a really good player, but it's like, dude, it's a really hard ask to reclassify as a smaller guard. By the way, he's not some like physically imposing
He's not
player.
like his brother.
He's really skilled. He's really skilled, but he's not. Yeah, he's not. He doesn't have the frame or the size of Anthony.
But he's like the polar of Anthony, where it's like Anthony's a good passer, good connector, fluid, has good court vision, but can't shoot. And
yeah, Beckham is a hooper.
Beckham's a hooper.
Yeah. So, not sure we want to go down that path.
Here's the thing too that we have to also say about reclassing. Like, I understand the Dooney idea, because that is like how reclassing historically has always been. Can you think of a player that reclassed and then picked a team that wasn't on the radar of their final list of schools? I can't think of one.
I don't. Let me put it this way. I don't think that Oklahoma ever lands Jeremiah Fears if they don't reclass him and hand him the keys when they did.
Okay.
So that's what I would say there. But yeah, I mean, sometimes you can get an advantage because it's like the kid's a little bit open. Like, I don't think like Marcus Spears Jr., right? He just reclassed and committed to Texas. Maybe he would have gone to Texas regardless, but I definitely think it helped that Texas was like, hey, we're willing to reclass.
You know what? You are
early.
right. You're right. Fierce's final list of schools were Illinois, Kansas, Michigan, Ole Miss, and Providence.
Yeah.
Before you committed to Oklahoma. So
yeah. So sometimes that does happen where it's just like a kid, like it gives you an advantage where you're like, hey, this is something other schools aren't going to be able to offer you. Like, what other top 10 program is going to be able to offer Beckham Black a starting spot this year, $2 million in NIL? I'm just throwing out numbers. But like, that's what that's what you're going to need to probably pay at least. $2 million in a top 10 team this year, right? And if you want to get started and you want to be in this class draft-wise, which if you're ready, this is the class to come into, because this class fucking sucks. Holy shit. Is a really bad class. So if you think you're going to get drafted, this is kind of the time to do it. So that's the context around reclassing, but it wouldn't be my personal preference.
right.
Because I think that I personally would prefer the 5-5 route. If you can land a very good guard that is like a fringe NBA player that's on an E10 for a year, like I would take that. Like, I would take a year of Milos Uzon over a year of Beckham Black, probably.
Yeah, probably.
And I'm just throwing out that name. I'm not saying that's happening. That's a guy that theoretically would be eligible for that.
Yeah.
What I will say is on the Euro side, which I think is maybe the most likely of all those options, there is one player that I think has emerged as the priority. Do I think it's going to happen? I'm still a little skeptical of that. But I think if GU was picking their druthers, they would go down this route.
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to. I don't know if we want to share it, or we.
You know what? We're in such a giving mood, Austin, that let's lift the paywall. Let's lift the paywall down. I know that there's certain folks that are upset that there is a paywall, as if there's nothing of value being added on that damn Discord. But
Austin, it's actually way cooler to be arguing about Mo Odom. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything I hear about what's going on is against my will. Anyways. Okay, so Austin, you heard from reliable sourcing that there is a European player that is not currently looking at college basketball. Originally was
Took
pitched,
a little peek
took a
this
peek
offseason, but
took
did
a
not
peek
come.
at what college basketball had to offer. Kentucky was interested in him, and his agency very quickly, resoundingly said, "Yeah, that ain't on the table." Austin, I'll let you pronounce his name because I feel like I've pronounced his name like 3 different ways in the last 48 hours.
Yeah, I'm gonna try. Stefan Joksimovic. I don't know. Joksimovic. I think it's
Joksimovic.
Joksimovic. Mike's
Jock?
gonna be so mad. Yeah,
Yeah, Mike's gonna be-
young Jock.
Young Jock.
Slovenian guard.
Stefan.
6'7".
We'll just call him Stefan.
Yeah, Steph. Young Steph.
Yeah,
6'7".
or as he wants to say 6'7", or as he would also like to call himself Lefty Luca,
Lefty
because
Luka.
he wears
how
double
weird.
hockey sticks, but 77.
And he's from Slovenia. Yeah,
And he's from Slovenia. Slovenian player. Now, Austin, let me do a little Brian Windhorst real quick.
Yeah.
I don't know if we all have the object permanence recollection of what I mentioned earlier, but Gonzaga staff member Jorge Sanz is currently in Slovenia watching the under-20 FIBA competitions. And correct me if I'm wrong, you said that this player was from Slovenia, right?
That's correct.
Is that player potentially currently still in Slovenia?
I can't confirm. I don't know where he is. He's playing in Spain.
He doesn't share his location with you?
He actually turned that off.
Ah, damn. Just ain't that the way. Anyways, currently playing in ACB.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
6'7" point forward archetype.
Yeah, he's like an on-ball wing kind of 2 guard. I mean, I would not want him playing point guard. I'll tell you that. So, and he's not exactly a great shooter, but he's extremely talented. From a prospect talent standpoint, far surpasses Mario. They're not in the same conversation. You have, folks putting him as the number 2 pick in the draft next year. I would say a similar profile. I don't think he's as good necessarily, but like Kusturica, who committed to UCLA, he's kind of in that kind of world, I would say, as a player. What I can say is that Gonzaga staff really likes him, and he's kind of if they can land him, they will. But it's hard to pull guys from Spain because, especially when you already have this much draft buzz as a European player, you can kind of be hidden and you can just hide under the fact that, hey, it's Europe, they do things differently. Even if you don't have a very impressive season in the EuroLeague, you don't play that much, you only score 5 or 6 points a game, and you're kind of inefficient. If you still have the profile, you're getting drafted. You're getting drafted in the top 10, or at least the lottery. And so it is a riskier proposition for him to come stateside because he's already kind of protected in that European system. And so that's where I think the skepticism comes in on him coming over. But they're certainly going to try. I would say that he's kind of the priority target and the guy that they're going to try to go get. But you're probably going to need to make a big-ass offer. You won't have shooting on the team next year. That's not going to exist. And you're basically going to be like St. John's over the last 2 years. And you won't really have a backup point guard on the roster, or you'll have to find that through other means. You'll have to go and get some kid that can play 10, 12 minutes a game. because D'Souza's not playing all 40 minutes every single game.
No,
right?
and like there's gonna be games where D'Souza can't play 30 minutes because
So you're gonna need to go and get somebody that's just a competent enough backup point guard. So if that happens, cool. That's like, it's a nice, like that would be a nice recovery from what happened to you. But I don't think that while you'll see all of the hype around him as a prospect, and like people will probably be like, what the fuck are you talking about? This kid is like mocked as like the second pick in the draft by like credible people. This isn't like dumb people like NBADraft.net, kind of like that kind of shit. This is like real draft folks following international scouting as well. But like I would still have a preference for probably Mario on the roster over him. Mario is not nearly the prospect that he is, but having just somebody that can play point guard, that can run ball screens, is a more productive player and can shoot, that is a bigger need for this roster than what baby Luka, lefty Luka, like brings to the table.
Yeah, it's hard because it's like, look, you need whatever talent you can possibly get, and like obviously if this is like a player with the level of talent that like Sam Vecini has him and Kevin Sweeney have him in their top 3 players on the 2027 draft board.
And I would point out how good this class is. I would point that out. Like, it's not that long ago that Zachary Rizachet went number 1, and Atlanta would love to trade him. They have been trying to get off of him for a while.
And so like with that like, I guess like, does it even make sense by his team to like have him come over here if the class is so bad that he would be like almost a lock if he's floating water and just tests well overseas? Like what's the risk benefit for
him to come to the US?
Yeah.
He makes more money. Unequivocally. He'll make more money here than he will in Europe. But the other thing is he gets the opportunity to prove himself. To actually, if he wanted to be a number 1 pick in the draft, he's not. I don't see a world in which he's doing that from Europe if he's not performing. He also is getting way more minutes. Right. He's maybe going to get 12 minutes a game for Baskonia. Like he's not playing. He's a backup player. He's probably not even getting that many EuroLeague minutes. He's probably mostly getting domestic league minutes. Like he's not going to be getting that much. We will see. We talked to Armand about this a lot. I'm so curious when the NBA will learn when these guys hide themselves. It's a fucking problem. Yeah. It probably means they're not that good. And you need to stop making excuses for them over in Europe. Mm-hmm. You need to stop. Or else you will keep fucking drafting Dragan Bender. Right? We love using Luka and Giannis as like these guys that prove that European players are who we should be drafting. Even Jokic, right? Mm-hmm. Luka was the fucking MVP of EuroLeague. The MVP at 18 years old, right? This kid can barely get on the floor.
Right.
Playing in EuroLeague. They're not the same. Not the same at all.
Regardless of the number on the
back. Yeah. Country number, no. Jokic was like a good player, but there were real questions about like his body. Could he actually play against elite athletes? And Giannis is just a fucking freak, right? He got drafted off of pure potential.
He got drafted off of his hands being the size of tennis rackets.
Yeah.
Like, that's why he got drafted.
But I can also point to a lot of fucking European players that didn't really perform that got drafted highly and didn't work out. Like, we could talk about Thom McCurr. Like, it's like that was a lottery pick, and you know who didn't ever fucking do shit in the NBA? That guy. Like, there are so many players that get hidden in Europe and get hyped up and then do not make it. They don't make it. And I wonder when the NBA will actually come around. And they're starting to. It's starting to happen more, where some of these European prospects are getting pushed really hard by NBA international scouts to come to the States. Come to college, because it is a much better evaluation like league for the NBA, because the athleticism in college, you can't match that anywhere else in the world. You can't outside of the NBA, and if you can't play in that context, you're not making it in the league.
No.
You can't.
No. Armand did not throw water on it, but did throw some circumstances to why this potentially won't happen. As on top of like why risk it to some degree, he did mention that Spain covets him quite a bit, and the idea of like this is another Spanish league player that went to the NBA because of what Spain provided him in his development. There is the added fact that he already told Kentucky no. The only school he really looked at and considered but didn't have the minutes for him was Florida, and that's due to Florida having some Slovenian and similar agency contracted players.
That's
on that
just
roster.
International agent relationships.
Yeah. So there are like a bunch of things that point to like, unless the inflated role minutes and in bigger salary is enough, that like this is going to be a pretty difficult thing to make work. But as we mentioned at the beginning of this, is like the staff is looking into it and heavily considering it and trying to figure out how plausible of a path they have. So that's a primary option. And like I've heard from my sources of like, you know, there's just like an open call basically of agencies and scouts throughout the United States of like, who do you have? Who is a viable option right now? Who can we try out? So basically every stone is getting turned over right now.
Yeah.
Right now by this side.
The nice thing is that Gonzaga is the most eligible bachelor of the bunch, right? Like they pretty much, for anybody on the market, anybody that's open to coming to college basketball, they have the best offer of any team in the country, right? It's not going to be much of a like recruiting battle between Gonzaga and other programs.
Right. And with that, so it seems like the most likely path of this getting sorted out is potentially the Exhibit 10 contract guys, the 5-and-5 guys getting that eligibility, being brought back into the fold of college basketball. As you mentioned, Gonzaga has the advantage of, hey, we have all of this newly freed up money to reallocate. We have an exceptional opportunity of you would be playing on a team, if you're good enough, could be top 5 good because of how good the front court is, the talent at the wing position, all of that. But that also means that the most likely necessary talent pool is delayed in becoming available, and that means that you are going to have to
potentially
wait out.
It's We'll see how quickly these things get moving. Like, how quickly will a ruling be made in Colorado or in Georgia? Those guys that got their injunction in Ohio, now they're eligible, whether the NCAA likes it or not. Those guys will be playing. Like MJ Collins will be playing for Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Next year.
Yeah. So this is like a thing of like equal parts needing to be patient, but also, hey, your point guard needs to have some familiarity with the offense and the guys he's playing with. That's probably the number one position that you need familiarity in.
Yeah, and I think also, like, right now you need to start putting out feelers to those E10 guys. Again, I'll just keep using his name so I'm not saying a bunch of names, but like, you need to reach out to Milo Suzon and like his representation and be like, are you gonna try to, get eligibility and come back to college basketball for another year? Like, this is kind of the idea of what we have in mind. This is a role that you would have. Is this something that you would consider? If so, we got to get the ball rolling. Let's call up Darren Heitner. Let's get things going, and let's get you eligibility.
And also for clarification, he's talking about the staff reaching out to players.
Yeah, I'm not talking about fans DMing players on Instagram.
Don't do that. That's not that. Nobody wants you to do that. Nobody's asking for you to do that.
Fucking delusional shit.
It's like the end of the pre NIL era where it was like, hey, you are considered a fan of the program and therefore cannot contact student athletes. Like those signs were all over the place, and then we're now in a time period where we're just DMing anyone we want to DM. Like, we need to let's
DM better players.
Yeah, maybe that too.
Yeah.
So yeah. The staff. I guess like the moral of this episode is that the staff is very engaged in finding solutions, and like, honestly, kudos to them for being so quick to pivot in a pretty unprecedented situation. So.
Yep.
Yeah, this is fun. This is great.
Yeah. I'm having a good time.
Gonzaga, you are God's bravest soldier. Congrats to you.
That's right.
All right, we will be back with another episode.
Ending it with a fucking bang there, huh?
Yeah. Sorry about that. Don't need to mean to deflate, but
I feel like this is the most positive we've been though in like a couple days.
It's now is the right time if you haven't been on the Discord to join the Discord, because I think everybody's kind of went through the Bridge Watch 2026 and all that.
The vibes are pretty down.
The vibes were bad this weekend.
They were pretty bad.
But the vibes are coming back up.
That's right.
There's resiliency in the fold, and respect to that as well. Right. Yeah, we'll have another episode soon. Please like, rate, subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on YouTube. YouTube link in the show notes. Thanks, everybody.
Onions!